Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition in our Export to Japan podcast series. For this episode, we are looking more deeply into the world of IP in Japan, intellectual property, patent protection, and trademarks, etc. And we have a very special guest to help us with this discussion today, and I'm delighted to welcome him. He's there smiling. This is Mr. Satoru Mori, who is a patent attorney at the Shiga International Patent Office in Japan. Satoru-san, welcome to the Export to Japan podcast.
Hello, Steve. Thank you for the introduction. I'm very pleased to be here and talk with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're excited to have you and looking forward to picking your brains and learning a little bit more about your area of expertise in Japan. Just to get us going, could you just give us a very brief overview of yourself and your background and by way of a sort of introduction, please?
Yeah, thank you. As you said, I'm a Japanese patent attorney. And before I joined this law firm, I was a researcher at a chemical corporation. After that, I joined Shiga International Patent Office, and this is the 9th year here in this firm. I've been working for foreign applicants, company abroad. I've been working on behalf of foreign companies.
Okay, very good. So next year you're coming up to your 10-year anniversary at the company.
Yes.
Oh, that's very good.
Next year.
Congratulations on that.
10th year. Right.
Very good. That's very impressive. Well, there's clearly a lot of experience you've got there, and I look forward to hearing a little bit more about that. So to get the discussion going, my first question I want to put to you is that, generally speaking, international people think of Japan as a very kind of safe market and a very friendly market and a market with good business ethics and good protocols, etc., and a very kind of safe place to do business. And I want to put that question to you of, what does that mean in relation to trademarks, IP advice, patents, etc.? How should international companies approach the Japanese market with regard to this?
That's a very common question that we receive from foreign applicants, foreign company. Actually, the strategy should be it does not depend on the jurisdiction. If you are a company based on UK, they should get IP right in UK. So the same applies to the case in Japan. If you want to start business in Japan, you have to get similar IP rights in Japan as well.
Okay, well that's a good start point to get that clarified and out there. Okay, moving on a little bit. Again, I've heard from various sources that in general, Japanese companies prefer to make negotiated settlements. When something does arise and there's some sort of issue or complication, they prefer to make negotiated settlements rather than go through complex kind of litigation and court cases, etc. Again, I put the question to you: is that a correct assumption from your experience?
Yes, I think that's correct, because it will cost very much to go through the complex patent litigation. So we have a custom of sending a warning letter before actually filing a lawsuit to the court. In the warning letter, they will write why they think there is an infringement, for example, patent infringement. Then they start negotiation, and usually they do not want to go to court in order to save cost, and they want to go to some kind of settlement.
Yes, okay. And in a moment, we'll come on to your company and the services that you offer to support international companies when they need your help. But presumably that's all part of the service you offer, is it? You will come in and that initial letter or communication that you spoke about, you will handle that. And then any subsequent negotiations, that's all part of the service that you offer, is it? So my question is the next steps that you talk about there when you have a communication, you write a letter or have a communication with a company with a view to having a negotiated settlement. That's all part of the service that Shiga International can offer, is it, to foreign companies that need that help and that support?
Yes, we can support how to deal with the warning letter. For example, we can say that there is no litigation because this part is different, or we can support that no, you are infringed. We can support the patent side, patentee's side, and we can say that you are infringing. You have to stop the infringement.
Yeah.
We can be either side, both sides.
Understood. Very good. Okay. So let's move on. So if we take a situation where a foreign company is looking to enter the Japanese market for the first time, and they're working out their strategy for market entry and their business development, etc. From your perspective, when we think about IP and licensing and patent protection, what are those first steps that you would advise those foreign companies to think about, and what action should they take as they're considering entering the market for the first time?
All right. We would like to advise 2 points, generally 2 points. The first point is that you should get IP right as much as possible. Utility patents, design patents, trademarks, anything is okay in order to safely continue your business. Otherwise, there is a risk of litigation. Secondly, I'd like to advise that you should conduct IP search that in order to confirm that your product or your process does not infringe other parties' patents, other parties' IP right. So generally, I'd like to advise these 2 points.
Okay. And again, they're both areas that your company can support international companies with, the 2 points you raise.
Yes, we can support foreign applicants in every aspect.
Great. Okay, thank you. I wonder if do you have a sort of a case study or an example that you could share with us to illustrate, an example of where you've helped a foreign company with any particular issue recently in Japan?
Yeah, I can't say the details, but I have an experience to work for a U.S. company, which is a solar cell maker, which is a manufacturer of solar cells, and they are patentee, and we prepared and actually filed a lawsuit against Canadian company for stop selling their products in Japan. We supported the first negotiation, and of course, unfortunately, the negotiation was unsuccessful. So we actually filed a lawsuit to the court, and after 1 year or 2 years, finally the case was closed by settlements.
Very interesting. Okay, so in that particular example you give, you refer to a Canadian company and a US company, yes, but all the business activity and the jurisdiction and the laws were by Japanese law in Japan.
That's right. That's old situation, kind of old situation.
Okay, thank you. That's an interesting example to share with us. Thank you for that. That just brings me to one other little question, actually, because I think you mentioned that particular example you said was in the solar energy or solar panel sector. And I know from previous experience with some of the companies that we deal with at Export to Japan that we have introduced to your company that need help and support, they are from very, very different sectors each time, different industrial sectors. So one more point just to check with you, your company can basically handle the majority of different industries or different sectors. I know it's not you personally that has that experience, but you have different colleagues with industry knowledge from different sectors. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's correct. Actually, as long as it relates to any technology, our company can, our firm can handle any kind of technology, technical field. We have a lot of expertise in almost every technical field.
Great. Okay, thank you. Good. Okay, my next question. Does the IP and patent service in Japan differ in any way from other countries around the world, or is it exactly the same?
Actually, the patent system itself is not so different from other jurisdictions. Of course, there are tiny differences, but not a major difference. One point that I'd like to express is that Japanese patent system is very quick these days. Maybe, for example, 10 or 15 years ago, many foreign applicants thought that Japan is very slow and they're very strict. They do not like Japanese patent office. But right now, it's very, very quick. One of the fastest country in the world, and they are very kind to applicants. So now it's a very good time to get IP rights in Japan compared to the past.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, is there a particular reason why that change has happened that you can pinpoint?
Japanese Patent Office set, they decided to set a target to become a very quick patent office.
Oh.
And Japanese court, there was a very important judgment by the court that Japanese patent office should not reject much patents. After that judgment, it became difficult for them to reject with easy reasoning. So the hurdle became lower.
Very interesting. Okay, that's very good. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Is it possible do you have any view or any comment on the same situation with regards to the settlement and disputes? Does that tend to take longer in Japan for the rest of the world, or do you not have that experience to know that?
Actually, I don't handle the litigation case in the United States in other jurisdictions, so I cannot say anything. But I heard that in most cases, the litigation is a lawsuit was filed in all over the world at the same time or at the similar time. So the start point is similar, and the ending time is similar in most cases.
Okay. Good to hear. Thank you. Well, that's been a really good overview of the general situation with regard to IP protection and patent and licensing in Japan. And I know, I can certainly say to our audience listening into this, we have already introduced a couple of companies through Export to Japan that needed help and advice in this space, and we've introduced them to Shiga International Patent Office, and they've been very pleased with the help and the response they've got. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to jump on this podcast and introduce you guys and learn a little bit more at the high level. So I could certainly say that if anyone listening in does need further help and advice and potentially support in the Japanese market, please reach out to Shiga. They're a great company and have been very good so far in supporting the companies that we've introduced. In terms of the next steps, we've given a sort of very high level overview here. How can foreign companies learn more or gain more information? Do you have any thoughts or ideas on that?
Actually, we have webinar. We are having a webinar approximately twice a month, 2 times a month, and it's completely free. So please, if you are interested in more details for IP situation in Japan, please reach out to please apply to our webinar. You can apply it from our website, and also you can apply it from our LinkedIn page.
That's great, thank you. And we will be sure to put those links next to this podcast, so that people can just click on those links and find their way through, both directly to your website and to your LinkedIn page as well. And those webinars that you talk about are in English, right?
Yes, every webinar is done in English. Amazing. And you can ask any questions after the webinar. We will reply to each questions via email after the webinar.
That's an incredible service. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Very, very helpful. Okay, well, listen, we've come to the end of the podcast. That's been a really, really good introduction. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your wisdom. And it's given us a really good insight into the Japanese market in this particular area. And as we mentioned, anyone listening in that has come across this podcast and feels that you need any further help or support with any detail of this, please either reach out to us at Export to Japan, and we'll be happy to introduce Shiga International, or you can go directly to them via their website or via LinkedIn. They're very active in both of those ways. So I hope that's been a great overview of the Japanese market, and in relation in particular to this topic of IP protection and trademark association, etc. And it just leaves me to finish up by thanking our special guest today. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, Mori-san, and it's been a real pleasure talking to you. So thank you for your time and your ongoing support for all the companies that we introduced that may need your help and support. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. We look forward to maybe talking to you again in future. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And just again, for everyone listening in, I hope it's been a great session, a great new podcast that we've introduced here. And if you like what we're doing, please hit the like button. Please also subscribe, and you'll be notified of any new podcasts that come along. We've got a great new series that we're planning, so you'll get notification of those as they come along. But that leaves me to thank everybody involved today and wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye now.